Oh, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself there real quick.
Second.
There you
Okay.
go.
Hi. Hi.
It's good to see you.
Oh, good to see you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. All right. Where would we like to begin today? Because we have so much going on in our world.
Okay. I hope the sound is okay. I'm in this sort of friend's place, and I don't have my usual equipment and all of that. So I hope everything's good.
Sounds great.
Well, I'm with I guess a somewhat notorious conversation, I would call it, with Mike Gill, who's a top whistleblower in the United States, and bringing forward a lot of very important information by way, even a couple of years ago, of the Pandora Papers, and if you're familiar with that. And there is a lot more than even he's been able to disclose, I guess, publicly, behind the scenes, and controversy around the white hats and the battle that we are all waging against the deep state cabal, etc. And some confusion on certain levels and some weird predictions coming forward. So, I can go in any direction you'd like to talk about whatever might be on people's minds or anything.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the predictions because, as you know, I don't generally do predictions, but I think it's important for us to have these discussions and see what people think is ahead of us.
Well, I'm not an expert on other predictions out there. I know that Mike Gill himself is making certain statements saying that he believes that Trump is not gonna run. That General Flynn is a traitor to the Trump MAGA movement and the White Hats, and that he is, he has worked both sides in the past, no doubt. And so we had quite a discussion about that. I think that this idea that Robert Kennedy and General Flynn would team up to take Trump's place, I think is wrong. And so we can go from there. I also think, well, I know that Juan did a video just a few days ago, maybe less than a few days. I mean, I'm kind of getting disoriented in terms of dates. Every day's flowing into each other so quickly, and so yes. Time is moving so fast, especially here in England, because I'm talking to people in America. For the time is one way for you, even right now. And for me, it's, it's dark outside, it's late afternoon, it's basically night. And I have a weird sleeping schedule on top of it. So I just want to say that I do have a positive view of the future, although when you look at the news and you look at what's going on to our country, that's a pretty strange headspace to be in. But I don't know why I maintain that, but I do. I feel energized by what's happening. I don't so much think of it as something new. For me, this has been something I've been living with for 20 years as I've been doing my investigations, as you can appreciate, talking to whistleblowers from above top secret for many, many years. So I've been hearing sort of the advanced version of what has now come our way. And we were told these things would happen by at least one whistleblower who was called Henry Deacon back in, like 18, 19 years ago. So we're in the midst of a complete, exposure of really truths everywhere. And the reason those truths are being exposed and changing us is when you bring something into the light, that's when it has an impact and can be changed. As long as it stays in darkness and is hidden, then I think it continues to fester, if you will. And that's true of disease as well, for that matter. So I think we're in a time of exposure, of the light coming to the fore. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that the things that are being exposed can be maybe depressing, daunting, etc. But I think that we can all get together and start to actually fix our world, correct our world, and right the wrongs, if you will. So Juan, in this recent interview, had just said, interestingly enough, because when I talked to Mike Gill, Mike is constantly saying that Juan is on the dark side, that the white hats don't exist. And for me, who is I consider myself a white hat, even though I'm not officially a member. And, that's an outlandish point of view to not realize that this organization is really real, and that they are movers and shakers, and they are giving us a reason and a backing, if you will, even if it's only hypothetical so far as the military defending the right of America to exist and to defend our country. So I think that he is saying now that they're going to make some very bold moves in the next, sounded like maybe weeks or months, and that was very good news. So I'm throwing a lot of things out here right now. If you want to jump on anything, go right ahead.
Robert, Bruce, do you have any questions? I don't want to dominate the time here. Okay. How could we not have questions for Kerry?
I do actually have a question. I'm sorry, okay, I'm trying to verify who Jack is, if it's Dave's iPhone or not. But the other thing, the prediction that was made, that the three options, what his information, if it's so important, I think he is missing some of the picture, or bigger picture of what is going on in this operation. Would you agree with that, since you've had closer conversation with him? He's probably in that.
And he's aware of all of that. So that's very important to know.
Let me clarify.
Drugs and drugs, fentanyl. He's also been on the fentanyl story. Deeply.
Let me clarify real quick, because Bruce got some of his information from me, because I've talked to Mike a couple times. And I've said Mike's not fully adrenochrome awake. And what I mean by that, so he understands the Illuminati, so on and so forth. But when I asked more questions about it, he didn't understand this whole satanic realm of the way they operate, and so on and so forth. Now, what I will say is I've watched this kind of battle, or what Mike is exposing, and he's upset with Juan, and he's, General Flynn, I think legitimately, and Trump, because Trump hasn't pulled the trigger yet. I think that's why he's very, very upset with President Trump. But I did notice one thing is, I think we have to understand and empathize with Mike a little bit. Mike has some amazing information. He's been on the run forever. They are out to get him. He's lost financially so much money. It's just ridiculous. Plus, he's frustrated because he's handed the information. He hasn't seen anything yet. I believe he's also lashing out of frustration that things aren't done yet. And I completely understand from his point of view. Kerry, you've done the same thing. I've done the same thing.
We share that, and I tell him this, you got to remember, and you may not know this, that I interviewed Mike a long time ago. Well, it's not a long time ago, but it's in March of this year, before he sort of hit the big scene, and before he went public with Nino and Juan, to my knowledge. Because I think I actually had something to do with connecting Mike with Nino. But what we're talking about is Mike is a whistleblower. He has his, information that he's worked on, and he's actually had his life at risk. And, and it's really a heart-wrenching story that he told last night on the interview that we did together with Patriot Underground. So, yes, he's at the edge of his sort of patience, if you will. I also think he's being misled, though, by certain sources behind the scenes. And I am concerned about that. I don't know who those people are, right? but I think they may have an intention, okay? Because he goes down a litany and he seems quite convinced on his information, and yet when he spills out the information, not of his own investigations, but in regard to the White Hats and Trump and General Flynn and their relationship and so on and so forth, he doesn't really seem to know or be able to connect all the dots there. So I think that is it's interesting. We all inhabit different areas. We specialize in different areas, and sometimes we get into the weeds of another area and then maybe make statements or have assumptions. But if you've got somebody feeding you wrong information and you, for some reason, whatever it is, you trust that person, you believe that person is well informed and they're not, then you have a problem. And so I think that that's what's happened. Now, it's easy for that to happen, as we know, because, and this is something I've complained about numerous times, is that the White Hats have, in essence, not really revealed their operations, anything they've done. It doesn't mean they have to reveal it when they're doing it, but we would assume they would tell us after the fact. They don't even do that. So all we know is that there are some people coming forward on behalf of the White Hats, but they're not actually official, spokespeople. Juan is to some degree an unofficial, but he's very much an official spokesperson, in part because we know he has a relationship with President Trump. He goes to Mar-a-Lago all the time. He's been hosted, I think it's okay to say this, at the in the Trump Towers, at the Trump Hotel in Vegas, etc., for years. And they go way back, and I've already gotten in. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. So when you look at that situation, if you don't really follow it, you don't listen to Juan's. I've been listening to Juan now for years, literally just years. I've also met him in person several times. I've talked with him at length on the phone. I've also texted constantly back and forth during the first year. And then after that, he completely went silent on text with me, because he told me in person, it was at the Reckoning Festival in Texas, in person, face to face, eye to eye, that he did not want to talk to me, interact with me, because he felt there was a risk he would violate his security oath. As outlandish as that may seem, that's actually what he said, and he stuck by it the whole time now since then. However, I don't know if it's the NSA just reading his, the stuff I text him. I get the impression he sees sometimes what I write to him. I'm also on a small group that he's part of, so he sees those things that I text both places. So I also, this is another nuance, but I'm not sure if this is of interest, but it interests me. I said that Nino had signed a non-disclosure with the White Hats, with Juan and the White Hats, and I firmly do believe he did. Now, that's what I believe. That doesn't mean it's a fact, okay? But I do think it's true. Nino is now protesting. He went on Twitter and said he hasn't signed such a thing. Look, I've tread a fine line between knowing and being friends with some of these people behind the scenes, having interactions, having conversations, some of which are not to be disclosed, and that's fair enough. I don't think there's anything wrong with having signed, I even volunteered to sign a non-disclosure with the White Hats, but Juan turned me down. So I know it exists. I know they recruit members. I know that for a fact. I know several of their members who have signed non-disclosure agreements. So this idea that's so funny that the White Hats have conducted themselves similar. I mean, it's not a nice thing to say, but in a sense, but the devil never did so well as when he convinced you he didn't exist. The White Hats have followed a similar trail, okay, to convince you that they, on some level, that they don't exist, so that they could conduct their operations in secret, I guess not being part of the public milieu in that sense, with the only real spokesperson being Juan. So any thoughts on that?
I don't have any particular thoughts on that. I mean, I think it's compelling. It's very interesting. And time will tell. I liken it back to this as I'm just, and we're out of time here, so I apologize, but I liken it back to the fact that maybe I'm hoping that there is a reason why the disclosure isn't coming out as much, and I know there can be reasons, but there's going to be some things that we're definitely going to need to be explained to us when this all comes out, because what I do believe, when I've said this out loud many, many times, is I think the so-called white hats are underestimating we the people, and what we can take, and our resolve, I think, is a lot more than they're giving us credit for. So that's my opinion, but it's their game plan, not mine. So I keep moving forward. I know you keep moving forward, and we've got to get the information out. But I'm building a coalition of we the people. We're just going to do the work ourselves. That's what we've decided to do.
Okay, good to hear. All right, well, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, Kerry. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good. We're trying to get to the point of getting our first T-shirt winner lined up. I'm waiting for Lisa to pick the name. Oh, you got the name.
No, I got the name.
Okay.
I got the name. So, guys, in fact, Robert, if you can put it on your screen, if you guys want to win a T-shirt, just do whatever Robert says. That's all I do all day long. I just do whatever Robert says.
Follow what Robert says. Yes, that's the best way.
So just go to rememberyouroath.com, sign up now to win a Remember Your Oath sweatshirt or T-shirt for free. And it's we pick, like, for example, a certain amount come out, and we literally just pick numbers, and it's a random, very, very random, but have a chance to win. It's the first winner is Pamela Hutchinson is the first winner. Pamela Hutchinson, congratulations. You're the first winner.
Awesome.
In our little hourly giveaway.
I love it. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. This is going to be a fun day.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And we're running a little bit late, so one of you guys want to introduce our next guest, which I think is an amazing person.
I'm going to have Bruce do that, because Bruce knows this fellow much better than I do. But I know he's amazing.